What do you think about John Johnson? Is that a guy that you keep? Do you think the Browns move on from him? If they cut him post June 1, it's like $9.75 million, something in that neighborhood. Do you see him on this team, or do you think they move on from him?
You know, if you would have asked me this question right after the season, I would have been like, yeah, of course you would get rid of John Johnson. But the more I think about it, the more I end up on the side of maybe you should probably keep John Johnson because he's not that expensive. $13.5 million for a safety is not that expensive, especially one that was like, before he signed here and was asked to do stuff that he wasn't used to doing. He was a top level safety at doing that and a very impactful player. So I would love to know what Jim Schwartz thinks, but I would think that, hey, you look at a guy like John Johnson, you see where his snaps have been, you see what the production has been, and then you see where his snaps were in LA, you give him those snaps here, and you feel like, hey, you can get that same level of player. The reason I think that is because the more and more I think about it, I don't know if I can trust what I saw from Grant Delpit last year, just because Grant Delpit has kind of proven himself to be an up-and-down player. This is the second year in a row where we're talking about Grant Delpit having a shining end of the year, and that's going to roll into the better next year. And then he kind of started out this year flat, and we can't afford for him to start out flat, take that chance on him. I'd rather put John Johnson in a position where he's been at his whole career to be the impact player that he's been, and instead of relying on relying on Grant Delpit to be something that he isn't, which be something that he wasn't for most of his career. That's my reasoning for kind of wanting to keep John Johnson and the savings. Like we think about if we try to save money with him, you might save $9 million, but like who are you going to sign to play free safety for this team under $9 million if you really want to save money? And that's the big question.